Okay, Everton have been hit with their second points deduction this season. They've been hit with a 2 point deduction for breaching financial sustainability rules, the profit loss rule, however you want to look at it. Now, Nottingham Forest got hit with their points deduction a couple of weeks ago, and of course, Everton had a points deduction earlier this season, partially overturned. We know that Reading in League One have been hit with multiple points deductions over the last couple of years in regards to their finances and what's happening off the field there. We know Leicester are under investigation in the Championship from their Premier League days. We know Chelsea and Man City, for a variety of reasons, are under investigation for some of their financial dealings off the field and some of their issues off the field as well. So this is not just a profit loss rule breach. There are a lot of clubs under investigation for a variety of issues. Reading can't even pay their players on time and pay the tax man, and they're trying to fend off administration and liquidation. We know Derby County a few years ago with all that, that club falling apart. So this is not just Everton, and this is not just the financial sustainability rules and profit loss rules. There's a variety of reasons why clubs are docked points. A lot of Everton fans feel they've been unfairly singled out as a club, but Nottingham Forest have now joined them as well. And a lot of fans from the majority of clubs are going, what's happening with Man City and what's happening with Chelsea? And they seem to think that Chelsea and Man City probably won't get punished, which will then make a mockery of what's happened with Everton, Nottingham Forest, Leicester, Reading, Derby, and all the other clubs that have had points deductions in recent years for a variety of reasons. Now, Everton, they have spent a lot of money. They've got this new stadium, which has been a whole basket case in itself. There's corruption allegations into the building of the stadium, the planning permission that involves local government, and there's been arrests around that. There's been fatalities at the stadium with the building contractors. So this new stadium build is not necessarily going well for Everton. A lot of fans aren't necessarily happy that they're leaving Goodison. But the fan base is not happy that they're being singled out. They're not being singled out, but I understand their frustrations. As a Blackburn fan, we can't spend any money. We're struggling this season. Our season's unravelled. So I understand the frustration of a lot of fans, like Newcastle. They've got these wealthy owners now, can't spend the money that they want to spend because of the new financial profit and sustainability rules that sort of replace financial fair play. But then a lot of fans say, well, financial fair play was designed to protect the Big Six. It's designed to prevent another Leicester City winning a Premier League. It's designed to prevent Newcastle from challenging them. And there seems to be this protectionism. And there's a lot of fans who've basically gone, well, Chelsea and Man City won't get punished. They'll get off. They'll get a weak punishment. And so there's this distrust of the footballing authorities. But I will say this, the footballing authorities deserve this mistrust. UEFA, the domestic FAs, the Premier League, the Football League, La Liga, Serie A, Liga, Bundesliga, all the leagues have allowed, I think the German Bundesliga is probably the best run, honestly, and that's even with Bayern winning 11 titles in a row, which they're not going to win this year. The irony of Harry Kane going to Bayern and not winning any trophies would be fantastic. But the German league system seems to be the best governed. It's not perfect. I'm not saying it is. But the governing bodies, the domestic FAs, there's a lack of trust in them to govern the game. There's no trust in UEFA at all. They're seen as just as bad as the breakaway Super League clubs. I've seen that discussed at length, and they're not the knights in shining armour. Let's be clear. In order to placate the Super League clubs, they've completely reformed the Champions League to make it a mess. And I'm not looking forward to the Champions League next season. I don't think that's going to work. There's so many dead rubbers. So many extra games we don't need. Go back to the traditional format. Pre-97 straight knockouts, please. Bring back the Cup Winners' Cup. Days of Yorick, I'm that old. But jokes aside, UEFA, every time there's a threat from the clubs to basically break away or form a Super League or demand more power, they just tweak the European competitions until they're unrecognisable from what we grew up with. They put more games in, which means more revenue to keep the clubs happy. But then you have to ask the question, profit and revenue are two different things. Where's all the TV money gone? These massive revenues, so money coming in, with ticket sales, merchandise sales, TV deals, sponsorship deals, where's all the money gone? Why are all these clubs racked with debt? Spanish football's in a financial meltdown. Completely. Valencia's buggered. Real Madrid, Barcelona have got debts that you could completely fund the NHS with their debts and clear all the backlog of ridiculous. We're talking billions in debt there. Deportivo La Coruña, when I was a kid, they were one of the best teams in Spain. They're in the third tier now. They're completely bankrupt. Bordeaux in France, owed money by Barcelona on a transfer, go into administration, basically go bankrupt. They're in the second tier. There's a couple of clubs in Swiss football. One of the clubs I'll be doing a club history on went bankrupt in 2011 and had to completely start again. Very successful club in Swiss football that I will be looking at. No spoilers on that one. Been doing my research today. Of course, we've had what happened to Rangers in Scotland. Gretna going out of business. So it doesn't matter what size club you are. And a lot of these clubs I've mentioned have all been top flight clubs in their various league systems. Look what happened to Leeds back in the day. This has been happening for 30 odd years. Bad, weak governance because the money's coming in and clubs being allowed to spend whatever they want willy nilly. Suddenly the footballing authorities are panicking because they want to be seen to be able to govern themselves. But self-governance doesn't work. They've got this independent regulator on the horizon for English and Welsh clubs that play in the English league system, not Scotland, which is very interesting. Though Scotland might get brought into this regulatory body as well. But clubs, some of the big six are resisting this. The Premier League as a whole are trying to resist this fiercely. Yet these are the same clubs that said they could let their fans in for free before the pandemic, or for very little, still make a massive profit. And then when the shutdown happens 4 years ago, they're going to the government going, can we have furlough money for our staff, please? But these are the same clubs that were claiming they could let fans in for nothing or very, very little money. So fans don't trust club owners. Fans don't trust the FA, the Premier League, the Football League. Fans don't trust UEFA at all. There is no trust of football governance. And with that European Super League debacle, fans don't trust their owners. Fans feel that Chelsea and Man City will get weak punishments, weaker than Everton and Nottingham Forest, and what potentially Leicester get. They feel there's a two-tier system. They feel that the governance is weak anyway. This is reactionary from the Premier League to basically say to the government, hey, look, we can govern ourselves with self-regulation. It doesn't work. Self-regulation doesn't work. We know this. Look at the media, look at the banks. It doesn't work, but still, they're trying to say, look, we can govern ourselves. We can sanction clubs. Yeah, it's a mess. It is a mess. This is not just an Everton problem. There's going to be more clubs that fall afoul of this. These financial sustainability rules, profit loss rules. I mean, if we were to properly enforce the rules, we're talking 70% of clubs in English football would be hit with fines, points deductions, and other penalties like transfer embargoes. We can't have that. It's embarrassing, but it's true. If the footballing governing bodies were to have properly enforced the directors' test, financial fair play, and now these profit and sustainability rules, I would say 70-75% of the top four leagues in English football, clubs would be having points deductions, fines, transfer embargoes in place, various punishments in place. But we can't have that because it then shows how weak the governance has been for the previous 30 years. So I will see what plays out. We'll see if Everton appeal. They appealed partially successfully on their previous punishment, but this is the second time this season. Nottingham Forest, I mean, they're considering a potential appeal, even though they pled guilty to the charges. And we'll wait and see what happens with Chelsea and Man City and Leicester. We know Reading are still facing potential further points deductions. Reading's a different case, but bad ownership. How that club was allowed to be bought by Dai Young is beyond me, and there's, again, weak football governance. They've allowed an unsuitable owner to buy a football club. So I will see what happens. I feel for Everton fans. I feel for Nottingham Forest fans. I feel for football fans everywhere. I have limited sympathy for Man City and Chelsea, but I know deep down, and I hate to say this, their punishments are probably going to be very, very weak, and their punishments are probably going to come in after the football regulator is in place. So fans will be up in arms about that. The general football fan feels let down. They have no trust in the governing bodies of football. So there we go. That's my view on things. I mean, we'll see what plays out, but place your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll have some more content, hopefully of a better note for you guys very, very soon.